Hi, welcome back to Healing and Harmony Spiritual Podcast, Series 3. This is Dr. Tabby Cat back with you. So grab your cup of tea and get comfortable. And if need be, get your tissues, something to write with, and we'll get started. So I'm going to start off with my spiritual life coach mission statement and my counseling statement that I give to my clients before we start, just so that you know a little bit about how I start things off. So, my mission statement. As your transpersonal counselor and spiritual life coach, I have learned who you are and what you aspire to be, so you can feel safe with me because my spirit is unconditionally accepting. I accept your less than perfect behavior because my spirit is unconditionally loving. When you share with me experiences that you have never shared with anyone else, my job is to absolve you of your guilt because my spirit is unconditionally forgiving. I will not interfere with your life choices, make choices for you, or brand your choices wrong because my spirit is emotionally detached and non-judgmental. I will continue to educate myself so that I keep expanding my knowledge of whys behind human behavior because my spirit is wise and ever expanding. I will do all that I can to help you feel safe in the world because my spirit is your loving and protective self-parenting model. It's my intention to act as your emotional intimacy role model because my spirit knows that you need to be loved for who you really are, a perfect adult of God. All right, that's my mission statement that I give to everyone before I start. All right, so today we're going to dabble into a little bit of what is a spiritual transformation and just some things to help you get started on that. So, to begin, what is a spiritual transformation? A spiritual transformation could be described as the conscious awareness that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Transformation means to go beyond form, to a level of understanding that the world which you experience is shaped and created by your own consciousness and not the other way around. The transformation aphorism is, I created my beliefs so I can keep them or discreate them or create new ones. The choice is mine. You created your reality based on what you believe. That is why unconscious beliefs can be very harmful because you can substitute them for your personal responsibility to be at cause for your life. The choice is yours to either consciously clean the slate of your mind of your dysfunctional beliefs and create the reality you desire, or to live in unconsciousness. All right, that's what a spiritual transformation is. All right, we're going to get into the present and beliefs, being in the present. Okay. The past influences you as long as you let it. The past is not the source of the present. The present is the source of the past and the future. The present is the only time you will ever experience. The mind's religion is one of fear and insecurity. The heart seeks truth, not consistency. The mind seeks consistency, not truth. Your unconditional beliefs hold the answers you seek. You need to fully explore and experience all unconscious beliefs. Life is a learning experience whereby one cannot remain the same and still grow. To grow, you must be willing to change. People want things to change, but they are not willing to change. Love is what you were born with. Fear is something you learned. Your dharmic journey is about discreating your fear-based beliefs and accepting that you are love. To create your reality to match your beliefs, even if what you believe is true, false, painful, or not relevant to who you are now. Belief is an absolute faith. It is a gut-wrenching, gut-level knowing, a total certainty, and a complete acceptance of a future reality. Your belief is the actual quantum material of what will manifest. St. Augustine said, "Faith is to believe what you do not see, and the reward of this faith is to see what you believe." Most of what you are today is beliefs, which have been passed on to you by your caretakers. Most of what you have studied is what someone else believed. Unconsciously creating your beliefs from others' beliefs, as good as some of them might be, has kept you from realizing your own divine potential. Worry comes from the belief that you are incapable and helpless. Remember, you don't have to be sick to get better. By viewing your unconscious beliefs with the clean mind exercise, you awaken your divine self, and in doing so, you learn to create the reality you desire. You need to discreate any beliefs you have for approval and acceptance of others. A superiority complex is actually an inferiority complex in disguise. An inferiority complex means inferior complex. Experiencing is more important than knowing. Knowing is a need of the ego to be consistent, and consistency is an addiction of the mind to the familiar. The more information you collect, the further away you move from experiencing your true feelings, because knowledge is the prize. If you're not experiencing, you're not living in the present moment. If you're not living in the present moment, you are creating your reality based on your history. People will soon forget what you taught them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. By experiencing life in present time, you leave behind your opinions, prejudices, ego trips, blames, regrets, and guilt. When you live in the present moment, love is the present. By experiencing life in present time, you will feel what you are feeling, which sets you free. Decide what you want to believe based upon the experiences you choose to create. You deserve to experience your life exactly the way you want it to be. Quote by Albert Einstein: "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." Don't let what you've been, mostly other people's beliefs, stop you from what you might become. Until you resolve your history, you will relive it again and again. You will act out any unresolved issues that you have not worked out, because the doorway of your pain is through your pain. The only difference between the fool and the wise man is that the fool does not learn from his mistakes. Experience combined with understanding leads to realization. Realization leads to enlightenment. Enlightenment leads to empowerment. Empowerment leads you to creating the realities you want. A lie is an attempt to experience something other than what you are creating. Lies blind you from viewing unconscious negative belief patterns, which is why you keep asking, why is this happening to me again? Unconscious beliefs can be a substitute for personal accountability. Personal accountability reflects what a person really believes, which is not always the same as what you may pretend to believe. Remember, you manifest what you are, not what you want. 6 laws about beliefs. Number 1, you create your reality based on your beliefs. Even if what you believe is true, false, painful, or not relevant to whom you are now, most of your core beliefs were formed when you were a small child. Psychologists estimate that over 90% of your beliefs are unconscious, and that most of your unconscious beliefs were created as a result of thoughts that you were positively and negatively programmed to believe. Number 4, no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. Therefore, you must learn how to stop creating the negative beliefs in order to make room for the positive beliefs that you want to affirm and consciously create. Number 5, as part of your affirmation process, you need to clean old negative beliefs from the slate of your mind. By the age of 40, you will have created 730 million thoughts, and 584 million will be negative. If you say 100 affirmations a day versus 50,000 negative affirmations per day, that would be like trying to bail out a sinking boat with a thimble. This proves mathematically that affirmations alone do not work. Your beliefs create your experiences, so when you create a belief, you automatically attract experiences that align with that belief through the law of attraction. The ability to be present is a learned habit. You need to focus. Present is a power that every great spiritual leader mastered. That is why when you are present and focused, you can create miracles. When you go absent, you are not experiencing life. What you are experiencing are old unconscious beliefs. There is an ancient Zen proverb which most people do not understand. Your coming and going is nowhere but where you are. Do you grok what this means? Your ego sees life the way it wants it to be. It views the world through protective veils of rose-colored delusions which cloud your perception of the truth about what is. Your ego sees the life the way it wants it to be. It views the world through protective veils of rose-colored delusions which cloud your perception of the truth about what is. Nothing will change until you accept it. What is as is. Nothing will change until you allow it to be what it really is or was. The how you feel versus how much do you know controversy. If you feel good but you know little, you're happy. If you know everything but don't feel good, you're unhappy. People who have the purpose to feel, create. People who have the purpose to avoid feeling, think. Life is. It doesn't come with instructions. You can study other people's theories or you can go out and experience life. Life is what happens to you while you are making other plans. Thinking is one step away from experiencing the power of be here now. Whatever you believe to be true will become your reality. If you want to know what you really believe, look at your own life without rose-colored glasses to view what you are mirroring. What does your career, finances, relationships, and health tell you about what you really believe? Consciously or unconsciously, you always get what you expect, your inner beliefs. Most sadness and depression stem from unrealized expectations, which are unrealized beliefs. That is why your ego could be inhibiting you from asking for what you want, because it may lead to more unrealized beliefs, disappointments, and depression. The I'm trying belief provides two excuses: an excuse for not doing, an excuse for not having. The word excuse comes from ex, meaning free from, and causa, meaning cause. So the message behind any excuse is, I wasn't at cause. Your mind will be glad to provide you with any evidence your ego needs in order to create reasons why it's okay not to create the reality you want, and not to be at cause for everything that happens in your life. The choice is yours. What would you rather be right and hold on to all your ego-based reasons, or be happy by intentionally forgiving and forgetting so you can create the life that you desire? If you think something outside of you is the cause of your pain, you'll look outside of yourself for the answer. Your ego believes, I must fix them so I can be happy and safe. No one does it to you. You do it to yourself through other people. When you blame others, you give up your power to change. When someone steps on your toes, if it feels very painful, it means that your life was already infected. This is reason to feel grateful because you know what needs to be healed. Pain is simply the difference between what is from what your ego wants it to be. In life, it's good not to be afraid of death, But more importantly, don't be afraid to live. Remember, insanity could be described as continuing to do what you have been doing and expecting a different outcome. Know that when it becomes more difficult to suffer than change, you will change. What is the most negative belief? I already know that. If you already know, you stop letting new information in. You stop peeling the onion. No new realizations arise. It's difficult to learn and grow because you already know that. All right. Michelangelo lived to be 88 years at a time when the average lifespan was less than 40 years. Most authorities believe that is because of a highly creative and inspired in-spirit nature. Michelangelo's motto was Ancora imparo. I am still learning. All right, now we need to move on to self-acceptance and approval. God has not condemned you. Should you? Let your old negative beliefs die with your blessing. Prayer is you speaking to God. Meditation is God speaking to you between your thoughts. You need to do both. We are all pretty much the same. Only your ego judgments tell us we are different. The only thing that exists between souls is love. Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people. All success takes effort, but struggle is effort laced with negative emotions. Your mind holds your guilt and hurt beliefs to you because it needs familiarity. The mind fights change because with change it loses control. The mind will resist the surfacing of unconscious beliefs to keep you controlled. Okay, a quote by my mentor, Coach Hugh. Your greatest challenge of life is the quest to understand your true self, the divine spirit that dwells within you. All right. Awakening to your unconscious negative beliefs is your mind's ultimate disappointment. A person learns to be defensive when one lives with criticism and condemnation. A defensive attitude stems from a perception of being under attack. Defensiveness is the path of no resistance. With defensiveness, you experience life flowing you with effortless ease. Guilt is a second judgment. It's an unholy action of pain. It's looking at oneself in hindsight and saying, I really should not have done that. But if you really should not have, you would not have. Know that at a moment of happening, it was all appropriate. If you have learned since then that the act was not what you would choose now and you feel guilty, know that the act itself has brought you to this understanding. That was all meant to do so. It is a cause for joy, not remorse. Are you so egotistical as not to love that which God loves? Most people are much too hard on themselves. Are you? That's a question for you to ponder about. You must be willing to forgive yourself and others. Forgiveness will help you transcend your mind by awakening your ability to identify with your namaste consciousness. It's spiritual poverty, not material lack, which lies in the core of all human suffering. And that is the truth. The purpose of life is education, not punishment. Once the lesson is learned, further education from pain is no longer necessary. To love yourself for what you are good at is easy. To love yourself in spite of your errors is downright holy. The Greek word from which the term personality evolved is persona, which means mask. Your persona or mask hides the godliness within you. God only sees experiences. Humans attach judgments of good or bad to experiences. God does not. God is incapable of judgment. Self-condemnation is a creation of the ego mind. God seeks understanding, not suffering. You must be willing to throw gutter balls to master the game of life. The belief that I am at cause for my life resonates, a positive affirmation that I accept myself just the way I am now. I have aspirations to master my intentions, but until then, I accept myself as I am now with all my so-called behavioral imperfections. I accept the life I am living, for I have created it, so be it. All right. Now, feeling lonely versus being alone. Feeling lonely is an uncomfortable feeling that occurs when unconscious negative beliefs surface, which makes you feel as if you are not interconnected, so you feel alone. Being alone creates a state of inner bliss caused when you are consciously alone with your inner self. The truth is that humans are capable of the most generous acts of loving kindness and the cruelest acts of aggression. That is why to polarize by either blindly trusting in the goodness of people or to be cynical about their savage nature is equally simple-minded. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself the way you want it to be. Your greatest challenge of life is the quest to understand your true self, the divine spirit of you. Our true nature is one of goodness and godness. Any negative thoughts to the contrary have been created by a human belief system that we are separate from God, which has been passed on from generation to generation. When you learn to trust your inner self, what you are trusting is the being who created you. The secret of happiness is to want what you already have. All right, so now I have my little kitty here, Light Feather, wants to join in on the conversation. All right, say hello, baby. Now I'm going to go over some disciplinas with you. So, like I discussed just a second ago, we have prayer, which is to willingly and consciously surrender to your higher powers so that your spirit can orchestrate the infinite correlation of details that are necessary for you to manifest your desires. Feeling your healing feelings. To communicate with your intuitive self using the language of feelings techniques. Self-parenting visualizations to help you fulfill your emotional dependency needs that were not met during your childhood. Spiritual distinction meditation to distinguish between your mind and your spirit, to train your mind to obey your spirit. Disc creation is a two-step process. Delete your old negative programs and install new positive self-mastered programs to counterbalance your life force energy. Okay. So, some affirmations you can do for prayer are: allows my godlike powers to steer me in the right spiritual direction. Allows me to let go of my ego so that God can help me. Allows me to detach from my ego mind when it says, I don't need help, I can do it alone. Helps me to remember that I'm never alone because God is always with me. Frees me to leave the details to God as to how and when and what I desire will manifest. Allows God to chauffeur me around instead of trying to carry the world on my shoulders. Grants me the wisdom to know that life's outcomes depend more on God than me. Some feeling your healing feelings affirmations are: aligns me with my spiritual purpose for living, my dharma, helps me to feel and release what actually happened to me so that I won't unconsciously keep reliving it over and over again, allows me to process my life through my feelings first, helps me to be the life force energy efficient because processing my life through my feelings first is 90% more energy efficient than thinking first. All right, 4. These self-parenting visualizations help me to feel better quickly, help me to release the emotions that I have unconsciously repressed, Help me to heal the wounds that were too painful for me to deal with when I was a child. Reduce the intensity of my fear-based emotions. And then for the spiritual distinction meditation, which we'll get more into my podcast, this trains my mind to obey my spirit, quiets my mind chatter, and strengthens my ability to focus. Now for disc creation. Some affirmations for that are: allows me to hear when I'm unconsciously sub-vocalizing. Means to consciously stop reprogramming negative beliefs. Helps me to transcend the emotional denial that always accompanies painful experiences. All right, so now, with many spiritual seekers, they usually dabble in practice or sample different spiritual acts and what's called a spiritual sampler. That's what they call them. Whenever you start getting into your spiritual practice and deeper into your spirituality, that's what it's called. But as Westerners, we need to know the difference between what is called enlightenment and empowerment. Okay, so enlightenment is for studying, philosophizing, and conceptualizing. With a doingness is empowerment, implementing, experiencing, and actualizing. So enlightenment alone only leads to intellectual faith, and faith without action is useless. It usually manifests in self-delusion, and there is nothing worse than self-delusion for a person who is on a spiritual journey home. The key is to find one spiritual method that feels right and then commit to staying with it until you find the truth that dwells within you. All right, so let me see. We are going to go into... Okay, so enlightenment, the knowledge of how the universe works. Empowerment, the application of that knowledge. Okay, a Hugh note here is there are vital action lessons of self-mastery that you need to become a part of your consciousness through study, practice, internalizing, and emotionalizing in order for you to consistently achieve a daily self-mastery level of 51% or higher. So what we're talking about with the 51% or higher is when I was discussing if you're in your 40s and you have 50,000 negative thoughts a day and you're only doing an affirmation for 5, that's only getting rid of 5 negative thoughts that you've had. So the objective is to be 51% self-mastered in all of your areas. And then we want to take a time commitment, only at least a half an hour per day, to focus on your self-mastery, okay? And that is, your ego will do anything and try to stop you from making yourself the commanding master of your life, okay? It will use time, money, and past failures as proof as to why your ego and why you can't invest more than a half an hour a day to achieve supremacy over your fear-based ego mind. Okay, so don't allow ego's rational lies and other delusions to stop you from being who you really are, a self-mastered being of light and love. Okay. There are 7 stages of change on your journey back to yourself, and we're going to discuss them here. So, number 1 is resistance and denial. This is the stage where your pain and uncomfortable sensations will surface. It is vital to remember that during this time of spiritual surrender and rebirth, the process of finding out who you think you are, your ego mind, versus who you really are, a divine being, is not inherently painful. It is your resistance to the process that causes pain. All right, number 2, awareness. During this stage, you will begin to see and experience the benefits of your self-mastery processes. You'll feel your repressed emotions begin to surface. At this point, you will be on the verge of true release and healing. This is also the stage when some people are inclined to quit their healing process. It's important to realize that this is because your old defensive paradigms are beginning to crumble, which feels scary, and because your new self-empowered paradigms have yet to solidify. Okay? So, number 3, identification. During this stage, you will have mastered or mustered up enough courage to allow your emotional issues to remain conscious long enough so that you can view them holistically. You no longer suppress your feelings. You'll begin to identify with your inner divine self and free yourself from your painful, disempowering roles, drama to which you've been unconsciously chained your whole life. Number 4, expansion. This is the stage when your old paradigms begin to shift. You see how limiting your old negative beliefs were. You can see how they kept you trapped in a box of reactionary choices and responses. As you begin to discreate these old fixed beliefs, you'll expand your very definition of who you are and your expectations of what you can accomplish with your life. However, until you surrender your old belief systems, which is needed at the time to stay safe, your self-mastery habits will not solidify. Just remember that. Number 5, responsibility means to respond with ability. This is a crucial stage because during this stage, your spiritual enlightenment has progressed to such a degree that you're now willing to take full responsibility for your past, present, and future. You'll have full clarity of the ramifications of the laws of cause and effect on the consciousness and unconscious level. You'll joyfully accept full responsibility for your life, as well as for how your behavior has affected others and for how their behavior has affected you. During this stage, you'll reawaken your ability to forgive others and yourself unconditionally. Self-empowerment. This is an awesome stage of spiritual development. At this stage, things really begin to flow. Using corrective exercises, you'll integrate the insights gained from your spiritual self-mastery processes into your daily life. You'll begin to master how to discreate your old negative beliefs and consciously choose empowering beliefs to replace them. You'll feel the immense power of being mastered of your own destiny instead of playing the blame, shame, victim game of randomness and uncertainty. By this point, you will be well beyond the magical 51% mark, and by doing so, you'll have taken a quantum leap toward achieving your own self-mastery. Now, number 7, creation, the final stage of your spiritual evolution. Okay, this happens when you can create anything that you desire at will because your word has become law within the universe. At this stage, you no longer are restricted by unconscious negative fixed belief patterns. You use meditation to receive your soul's highest purpose or intention. You could create in total balance and harmony with the universe because you are one with the universe. You radiate vibrational frequencies of love, light, and harmony. At this stage, your ego and yourself will have integrated and become one. Okay, so I know it's scary and endings are usually sad, but honestly, an ending is just a chance to take a brand new beginning. And so we want to make this a positive one. All right. So Jim Rohn says that time is our most valuable asset, yet we tend to waste it, kill it, and spend it rather than invest it. Time is the ocean upon which you must navigate your journey home to self. All right, Jonathan Edwards says, I resolve to live with all my mighty while I do live. I resolve never to lose one moment of time and to improve my use of time in the most profitable way I possibly can. I resolve never to do anything I wouldn't do if it were my last hour of life. So, Always put your priorities first and know what it is that you want to spend your time doing. Is it going to be spent on more negativity and negative thoughts, or are you going to transform that into positive ones? And depending on your age, depends on how many years you've been implanted with negative thoughts about yourself. And so some questions I would like you to focus on are define what self-mastery means to you. Define the difference between enlightenment and empowerment, which we went over. And why is setting your first self-mastery objective at 51% so important to us? All right. And why do we also want to commit at least a half hour per day? Why is that so important? And then also, I would like you to ponder about how you can improve your time management skills, how you will make the time for the most important educational lives and lessons in your life to master and to get to your own self-mastery. All right. When you go through all of these, you can start to see a difference in the things that matter most to you, and honestly, the way you react to things going on around you. So now I want to read again a poem that goes along with this, and it says, the title of it, "What Are You Waiting For?" What powerful seeds lie dormant deep within you, longing to break through the surface and reach their slender stems toward the light? What tender buds are swelling inside of you, yearning to unfurl their radiant petals and reveal their hidden beauty? What songs and stories are swirling deep within your breast? What wild and magical dreams are stirring your soul? What are you waiting for, my dear one? The world is hungry for your beauty, calling you to bring forth your deepest gifts. The seeds have been patient for so long, waiting just for a few drops of rain, for a few rays of sun, a few kind words. Don't deny them that. Don't wait until it feels safe to break open. That day may never come. So, as with that poem, always remember to make the change now. Don't keep waiting for when I get enough money, when I have this or that, because that never matters. What matters starts within you and in your mind, and you make the change. So I will end this off, and thank you for joining another self-healing spiritual journey, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.